Orale, Cholo Trucker, Moss Movies and Shows. And here we got The Nun Part 2, which is basically in the same category. It's a spin-off, man. It's in the same family as The Conjuring, which is my favorite horror franchise, man. The Conjuring, The Nun, the Annabelle's, all these are, well, I'll just say all these are really, really good, but let me not exaggerate. Look, The Conjurings are really good. Even part three, I heard a lot of bad things about part three. I actually liked it. I don't think it's great. I don't think it's like really, really good. I just think it's all right. The Annabelles are pretty good. The Nuns. Okay. The first one, it was okay. All right. Here we got part two over the weekend. I went with my beautiful, crazy local wife to go check it out. Here's my thoughts, man. So, you definitely need to watch part one in order to understand part two. Why? You got the same characters. You got Sister Irene right here, who is the main character in the movie. Well, I don't know. I mean, she's one of the main characters in the movie, right? She's the holy one that's going to go save the day, which is a little bit strange. I'll get to that. You do have Maurice, who was in part one as well. If you guys remember part one, you had this guy, Maurice, who would kind of do anything for, Sister Irene here, and he got possessed. Well, here we are in part two, which is why you need to watch part one in order to understand part two. Now, there's going to be spoilers, so hey, you've been warned. Okay, so so now Maurice is gone off, man. He's working at I think a boarding school. It is an all-girls boarding school, and he has no idea that he's possessed, man. He doesn't know. He kind of thinks something might be a little bit off due to his body language. It's like, hey, you know what? He was up at night. People are asking him, hey, what are you doing? And he's just kind of like, huh? Like, I don't know, almost like he was sleepwalking or something like that, right? So he kind of thinks that something might be up, but he never really makes it too known. The movie basically just starts, man, at a church where this kid is playing ball, and he goes to the church. He's he's there at the church with the priest for service and all that. He's I guess a choir boy, and the nun, the demon, this over here, makes its presence felt there, and boom, it starts. The movie starts on fire, man. Bam. Pun definitely intended. So as it fast forwards to where Maurice is working and the troubles that's going on there, the nun here, she is sent along with another girl. Actually, the other girl is not sent, right? She has a tag team partner that tags along with her, but she just goes on her own. And this other girl, who looks like I'm not too really up to date with the whole, Catholicism and the titles and all that stuff. She looks like it seems like she's looking to become a nun, but she's not quite a nun yet. Pretty much the way Irene was in part one. That's kind of the best way I could describe it. But she's a little bit of a troublemaker. Not Irene, but the other chick. Well, she ends up tagging along. They send Sister Irene to go figure this out. What's going on? Hey, go see what's up. You're the one that's dealt with this demon. I'm sorry, this one here. And they know it's the same demon. And they just send her to go deal with it, which strikes me a little bit off. I'm like, okay, you're not going to send a priest at all, right? In part one, you did have a priest. However, that priest was a complete jackass, man. That dude was he was a complete idiot, man. I don't know. He did a lot of wrong things. But anyway, they just send her, which was kind of weird to me. I'm like, okay, you're just sending her, no priest, no anybody else, just her to go deal with this powerful demon because she's dealt with the demon before. Makes sense. Doesn't really make sense that you would send her alone without a priest, but okay, hey, orale, homie, handle, right? So this other girl, against everybody's best wishes, tags along with Irene, who she seems to get along with, right? She kind of looks up to Irene. So they finally figure out where is this demon, and not only where is it, but who is the one bringing it along. And she finds out, holy smokes, is this guy Maurice that I have history with. finally they go to the school. A lot of things happen. I don't want to ruin too much of it for you, but a lot of things happen there at the school, getting towards the end, and it gets pretty unbelievable. I understand these are supposed to be somewhat based on true events. I get that. Um, and nonetheless, man, the movie ends again. Spoiler alert: the movie completely ends almost with, "Hey, it's a happy ending," except, oh, there might be something more to it. Bam, movie ends, right? So, um, overall, what's my thoughts on the movie? Well, look, the movie is decent. Do you have to go to the movie theaters to watch it? No, you don't. I like a good horror flick. Like I said, the Conjuring movies and the franchise, which this is part of, has been my favorite horror franchise ever. This one is a little bit towards the lower tier, but in all reality, so was The Nun. The Nun was a little bit on the lower tier when it comes to these movies. Definitely, I would not recommend it in the movie theater. You'll probably walk out like you kind of wasted your time. Okay, the horror in it. Not a lot of good horror, a lot of jump scare. Okay, a lot of boom, ha, ha, trying to get you a jump on your seat. But outside of that, not too much horror, man. A little bit here and there where you're like, whoa, like that's a little freaky, man. Um, but it does kind of lack a little bit uh in storytelling if it's a horror movie. It's just basically kind of like the whole cliche when it comes to horror flicks. It's somebody hears something, so then they go to investigate by themselves. And how many times does that happen in this movie? Holy smokes, I can't even count how many times. Okay, it's like, wow, I don't know how many times you guys are going to use that cliche where somebody hears something and they go and investigate by themselves, knowing that they're scared, like, mom, or I'm looking for this, it just, that was very like upsetting to me. At some point I was sitting in the seat just kind of like, okay, I'm starting to get a little upset here. I want to like the movie, I really do. This is my favorite franchise in all horror flicks, man. So I really, really want to like the movie. But man, too much is just too much, man. And then you definitely got the part where the girl's running. Oh, she falls. Like, okay, do you have to throw that in there? That is so cliche when it comes to horror flicks, man. All right. She doesn't have to fall, right? Just have her run all the way through, make it a little different. But this thing was just, I don't want to say predictable, but certain areas definitely predictable. Like basically, oh, this person heard something. Are they going to go investigate on their own? Yes, of course. It happened numerous of times in this movie. The nun itself, okay, the demon nun here. All right. In my opinion, is probably one of the scariest, freakiest looking villains in all the horror movies. I can't think of one that's more scary than the nun. I don't know, maybe Pennywise from the movie It. But in my opinion, man, this is probably the most scariest, freakiest villain in all of horror movies, man, including Pinhead and everybody. Just the presence of the nun is freaky. So with that, I do give it bonus points. But again, that's not really storytelling. That's just you showing, which again, it is a plus. It's definitely a plus. I don't want to take away from it that you have a great looking, scary, freaky, memorable horror flick villain, even though the nun never says anything. The nun rarely ever does anything, to be honest with you guys, man. Kind of like in part one, the nun doesn't really move too much. There's not a lot of movement when it comes to the nun over here. So I mean, a little bit here, a little bit there, but not too much. But look, overall, this movie does have me scratching your head. It's like, okay, well, wait a second. Why did the nun do this to this person and not to that person? When if the demon just wants to eliminate him, if the demon has that power, why not just do it to both people? I don't know. Is there some kind of power bar on top of when you can use your powers, because you had this person fly, way over there, and or you bursted them into flames. But now there's all these other people causing you, problems with what it is that you're trying to get. It was, in this case, she's trying to get a pair of eyes. There it is. Spoiler alert. She's trying to get a pair of eyes. Why don't you just burst everybody into flames? But it doesn't really make sense too much. All right. But nonetheless, look, overall, was it a good movie? It was a decent movie. I walked out of the movie theater a little bit underwhelmed and saying, you know what, man, when if part three comes out, because they do leave it open for part three, that's another spoiler, somewhat. Maybe I'm probably just going to wait for it to come out, because the first and second Nuns, not that good to me. They're the lower tier in the Conjuring franchise movies, man. And this one's probably last place. Good enough to watch, not good enough to pay for. But you got the time. If you're a fan of this franchise, check it out. But again, you're not going to be blown off your socks, man. It's just going to be a decent watch. So make sure you got nothing else to do for the 2 hours that the movie is, man. So there it is, man. The Nun Part 2. Total Trucker, M.A.S. Movies and Shows. I'll catch you guys on next one.